Hi there, I'm Tanya Van Orden, and I would love to give you an overview of seventh and eighth grade science in one shot and one video here. Um, yes, I see my webcam's blocking. A little bit of a quote. Instead, teach them to yearn for the vast and endless sea. There's just so much we can do with science. And I like to start out by explaining that I do have two daughters in their early 20s, both very different. And so, if this is your only child that I'm teaching, or your first child, or your second or third, I understand that different students bring different strengths and loves and passions, including organizational strengths. And I'll talk about that in just a moment. I fell in love with teaching at the Lawrence Hall of Science in Berkeley, California, because I worked with day camp children and kids coming on field trips. And it was super fun, but the kids would come and then they would leave again. And I would never see the same kids more than one day or one week in a row. So I really value building long-term relationships with your kids and with you, with Mercer Island families. And let's see, I'm a Vashon Island girl by heart, and I live in West Seattle. So I definitely have a lot of interest and experience with water. In science itself, both seventh grade and eighth grade science are very hands on. Courses every day is a little bit different. So I really urge and hope for good attendance from students. If they miss science, they will miss something. We're fortunate that we have Gator Time sometimes that can help with that. But I definitely, from the very first week of school, start talking with the students about communicating with me and with their peers, both if there's an occasional absence, or even just everything's going well. I also talk with students at all levels about what it means to study, what it means to practice, as far as refining a report for an experiment or preparing for a larger test. Um, so I definitely value communication. And like I said, that's Atul Gawande wrote Being Mortal, but I always like to reference his checklist manifesto as far as using a planner, using a calendar, using Gator Time, both as a time that messages can be sent or that students can come back to the classroom and work with me. In addition, along the lines of the checklist manifesto and such, students always have multiple nights to study for something or to prepare for something. I think that's important because, Wednesday might be a busy night, sports wise, and Thursday not. So students start gaining agency and control over their planning. Let's just touch briefly. Seventh grade science is mostly these topics, and then it all really funnels towards who am I as a big theme. That by the time we've put matter and chemistry and cells and genetics together by the end of this school year, that's my big idea. And in eighth grade science, we extend out to our planet and our space sciences and our sense of where are we in place and time as our big theme. And also, really, since COVID and the worldwide shutdown, like where's the good? Students are not so interested in disasters anymore. They're really interested in where is the good, and who is the help. And then those big topics, that have single words or two words, and really we understand the words, like we know earthquake before we study earthquakes. They link with our standards. And standards in science are a transferable skill, and meaning what are the large scale things like the one that's a little bit cut off by me. So engaging in argument with evidence is something that we can do and use and practice and grow stronger at in science, but then it also translates to other subjects and other parts of our lives. Same thing with analyze and interpret data. It sounds sciencey, it sounds mathematical. History and social studies use data as well. So that's what I mean when I say a standard, and then things are scored along those lines and things are organized when I communicate feedback to the students and communicate feedback to you through Skyward. They're organized under these sorts of headings. So that's what shows up here. So, like, ask questions and define problems gets the big subject heading. And then underneath that would be unit titles and individual assignments, keeping in mind, please, that an event is an assignment. And there's a fair amount of unpacking that, it's like Russian nesting dolls. Things need to be uncapped because what you see surface level is one overall aggregate score. But then within that, there's growth within each of these transferable skills or standard areas. And then, there's variation. I'll go back one. I mean, that's just a sample of how initially on a 1, 2, 3, 4 scale, initially things start out as a emerging level. And so it's okay to see a 2 or a 2.5 in science. In my science class, students should be able to earn at least a 3. A 3 means they are at standard, they're meeting the standards of the course. All of that is temporary until the end of a unit or the end of a topic. So I don't want students to think, well, they hit a 3 once and then they're done, they can rest. And then the door to a 4 is always open. A 4 is above standard or exceeding expectations. There's always that opportunity. It's definitely the more challenging opportunity. So, like I said, students in my course should be scoring at least a 3, meeting standard for what's going on within the course over time and within their growth. I think in science, at the end of the day, you can always say, "What did you do in class today?" Of course, if you say, "Did you do anything? Did you learn anything?" We're giving them a yes, no question. But if we open that up, I hope you hear stories from your kid more than you have to read in Skyward. I think on the front screen at the beginning, I had email address. We have classroom phone, email address. In this day and age, unfortunately, probably if you have a question for me, start with email, but then I will call you. I love to speak with people on the phone, or we can meet also. And then these are just my big takeaways as far as time that's available. I really do like to offer lots of support for students. A Skyward event is an assignment, and I will keep nudging them and suggesting different ways to use calendars and planners. For some students, that's a whiteboard on the wall at home. All things that I've gained and learned over time by working with students and learning from them. I love reading and learning more myself. I love traveling and meeting teachers from around the United States and Canada. But I learn a ton from students every year, and that's really just one of my favorite things about it. Thank you very much.